Damn, I hope you guys can see me. It's kind of dark on the screen. Take this thing off. I know it looks ridiculous, but I'm a magsasakal, which means I'm a farmer. So we gotta wear these things. It's freaking hot out here. Anyway, I hope I can get through this whole video without my mom calling me. Because all day long she's, Boss, Anika, dale! So, the older they get, the more demanding they get and the more attention they need. That's my mama. So anyway, today's talk is about alchemy. Those of you who have watched my videos and know me in person know that I usually refer to what I call the art of alchemy, the science of alchemy. I refer to myself as an alchemist. And what does that mean? Well, those of you who are familiar with the term know that it's an ancient African, well, it originated in Africa. It is the science or the pseudoscience of turning regular metals and materials into gold. And of course, I call it a pseudoscience because it's never really been done, but there's that belief, and people have been chasing it for millennia. You know what I'm saying? So, anyway, that term is being used today for philosophy. It's one of the pillars of my personal philosophy, which is the alchemy of life. And we're not turning things into gold. And it's not that positive thinking bullshit. Now, I do believe in positive thinking, but not in the way that a lot of the positive thinking people promote it. You have to have more than just the right attitude. You have to have more than just belief that you can do it. You have to have competence. You have to have discipline and drive and initiative, and then have to know how to create opportunities and things like that. So anyway, that's where alchemy comes in. The alchemy of life philosophy says that no matter what life has been given to you, you turn it into a positive. You take situations and you make them good. It's an extension of the philosophy called amor fati, and I'll do another video on amor fati to explain it better. I need to keep these kind of short. So the alchemy, the life alchemy philosophy says that I'm not just going to have a good life, I'm going to have a great life. The philosopher Nietzsche, or I call him, he's almost like a prophet. The prophet Nietzsche says that we want a life. There's a concept called the eternal reoccurrence, and what that means is you want to live a life that's so good that if you had to repeat that same life over and over and over again, that you would be not just enthusiastic, not just happy about it, you'd be ecstatic about it. That this life was so great that on my deathbed I look back and I say, geez, man, we got to do that shit again. You know what I'm saying? And that is not to say that life doesn't have bad things that happen to you. It's just that the alchemists have so many positives, that have so many great things, that the bad things that happen to us are insignificant, right? Even when they're great bad things, like tragedies. My wife died years ago, just a few years ago. That was the worst depression I've ever had. Well, maybe my grandparents. I had lost 3 grandparents in 6 months. My paternal grandfather, 2 weeks later, I'm sorry, my maternal grandfather, and then 6 months to the day my maternal grandfather died, my maternal grandmother died. And so 1992, that was a hell of a year. I'm sorry, 1993. That was a hell of a year. So, that being said, that the alchemist can turn good things into a bad thing, but they can also take a situation and do great things with it. One of the sayings that I love to use, love to quote, is that when you pray, in a way, you're praying to yourself, right? The 5 percenters, A couple of my uncles and family friends are five percenters. And he used to refer to us as gods. We are gods. And does that mean that we're the ones that created the heavens and the earth and the mountains and the tree? No, no, that's not what that means. What that means is the things that you ask for God. We ask Him for blessings. We ask Him for good fortune. We ask Him for forgiveness. Those are all things that we can do for ourselves, right? I can forgive myself. I can bless myself. My kid is acting up in school. When I pray to God, I'm also praying to myself. As an alchemist, I will fix my children's problems, right? I'll give you a situation. Got a young child. Everybody's been through this. Kid is doing poorly in school. What do most people do? They yell and scream at their kid. They punish them. You can't go to football practice for the rest of the season till you bring your grades up. They take away the TV, take away the phone, take away the video games. Don't let them go to karate practice. No, that is not how you fix good grades. Kids who perform poorly in school perform because they don't understand the material. No child is that lazy that he just fails on his own. No child wants to fail. No child fails on purpose. Do you understand? Children fail in school when they don't understand the material. And that is the situation that must be fixed. For the alchemists, they don't punish what they don't know how to fix. The alchemists find a way to fix it. If my kid is not doing well in school, the thing about school curriculums is if I don't understand day one's material, I won't understand. I'm sorry, week one's material. I won't understand week two's material because week two material is dependent upon your understanding of week one. Week three is dependent on your understanding of week two. So if I miss week one, I'm gonna miss week two. I'm gonna miss week three, and each subsequent week that comes, each subsequent lesson that comes, I'm gonna fall further and further behind. And sooner or later, especially if your child is a child of color, that kid is gonna get labeled learning disabled. You believe the shit, and the kid believes the shit, right? But as an alchemist, I create the environment, the ideal environment for my kid. What is the ideal environment for my kid? Kid's cutting up in school. You know why? Because he doesn't feel like he's there with the class. Every kid's got a little playful innocence. Okay, black children, we have a lot of energy. Black people have a lot of energy. Okay, having a child sit down for 6 hours a day, 7 hours a day, that's a lot, but it doesn't mean he's incapable of learning. Okay, if he falls behind, even if it's his fault, if he falls behind because he didn't do his homework, catch him up. Go to go to the teacher and say, hey, where did he fall behind? Okay, we go back and we see, okay, he did well up until this point, then he started to fall behind. Go back to that point, have him redo those lessons. Get him tutoring if you must. If you can't help him with his homework, get him somebody that can. Hell, $100 a month is how much a tutor costs. Okay, maybe 200 a month if he really needs a lot of help. That's nothing compared to what you are giving your child in the long run for having performed well academically. And yes, doing well in 8th grade or 7th grade doesn't translate to millions of dollars, but it can. You know how? Because when the kid fails in the 8th grade, he feels incompetent. He feels like this ain't for me. He feels inferior to the rest of the kids. It affects him in life. And when he becomes an adult, he doesn't feel like a high achiever. But you take a kid who's making good grades, and kids make good grades when you, the parent, get involved and you help him make those good grades. You make this a family activity. You make this a family philosophy. Achieving and doing well is one of the characteristics of a member of this family. When you do that, this kid feels empowered and it follows him for the rest of his life. If he does well in the 8th grade, he'll do well in the 9th. He'll do well in the 10th. He'll do well in college, or he'll do well in whatever vocation he goes into. Okay, confidence is something you nurture in a kid when they're young. And back to the alchemist knows how to create that for their children. So in this, alchemy is Part having the right attitude. You know, I beat up the positive thinking people because the positive thinking people talk like all you need is to think positive. No, you don't. You got to have more than that. You must think positive. You must also be competent. You must be hardworking, educated, skilled, and competent. You must be self assured, self reliant. You must be disciplined. You must be hardworking. You must be resistant to discomfort and pain. You must also have initiative and drive and motivation. All those things go into success, not just thinking positively. That's why I don't believe in these motivational speakers who tell people just quit your job and go open that business you've always wanted. Hell, wait, slow down. Does he know that business? Does he have enough capital to get into that business? Does he have contacts? And I'm sorry, I got to cover this thing because the sun is beating. Man, it's hot as hell out here. Not that I'm complaining. I love the heat, but I don't want to burn up my tablet at the same time. So anyway, this is going to be serious because there's a lot to alchemy, and it's a lifestyle. Okay, it's not just something you tell yourself. It's a lifestyle. And to sum up, the idea of alchemy is that I can create exactly the life that I want. Okay, now I'm going to be realistic. It's not going to be easy. It's going to take a lot of work. I'm going to have to give up some things. I'm not going to be able to sit in front of the TV 5, 6 hours a night, watch every football game for the season, and go drinking on the weekend and expect myself to be successful. I'm going to have to be disciplined. Okay, if I want to go into business, I have to take a certain amount of time studying that business, learning it from the inside, maybe taking a part-time job working for a similar business in the industry so I can get an idea from the inside. I have to go find a mentor, somebody who can teach me the business. I have to spend a certain period of time to raise the capital and not borrow, okay? Because remember, we're an alchemist, we self-produce, okay? To working hard and budgeting and saving the money that I need to go into that business. That's alchemy. Someone who can create the life that they want, who can create any situation that they want, and uh, they don't allow themselves to be discouraged. They don't allow themselves to be dissuaded, and they have very high amount of self-reliance, self-assurance, self-confidence. They don't turn to other people to say, give me, help me. Okay. These are people. Now, I'm not saying that you go about it alone. Two heads are better than one. Three heads are better than one. You want to go into a restaurant? Why not team up with two of your homeboys that want to go into the same business, and you guys put your heads together, and you brainstorm ideas, you pool resources, and you make this shit happen. See, that is an alchemist. An alchemist knows how to create what he needs, but it starts with the self. I can't control everything that goes on around me. I'd be a fool to think that the stars and the people and the weather and the situation and the economy and all that has to line up in my favor. Even if I'm a praying man and I pray to the Creator, I pray to God, I pray to Allah that I want success, I have to understand that there are seasons, there are cycles to life. Not everything is going to be like this all the time. There are going to be downs and there's going to be ups and downs and ups and downs. And what happens is when they're down, I have to know how to pull myself through those times and make the most of it. And when they're up, I have to maximize the use of it. And that's one thing that people have to understand, that positive thinking involves more than just thinking positively when things aren't going well. It also involves taking the good times and maximizing it. I'll give an example. You take a $100,000 a year job. Person number one, who is not an alchemist, goes out and buys a nicer ride, gets a bigger place, takes his wife on vacation, buys her jewelry, you know, you know, adds to his wardrobe, things like that. Person number two is an alchemist. He makes $100,000 a year. He lives off of $50,000 a year. He puts away 50 grand in the bank. In 10 years, this guy, because one thing about, remember I said about ups and downs, many things, most good things come to an end. Even good jobs sometimes, or very often, come to an end. Maybe your job's not giving you as much overtime as they used to be, or there's cutbacks and layoffs. The very last job that I had, we had a change in leadership. New vice president came in, and I was a West Coast director of operations. She brought in her own team and terminated me. Okay, and fortunately at that time I was into alchemy, and I was person number two. Person number one had 10 years of flossing and living high on the hog. Person number two had 10 years of saving half his income, $500,000. Do you see where I'm going? That you maximize the good times and the bad times. You survive the bad times. There's the philosophy amor fati, which is a very important part of alchemy, and I'll do another video on that probably after this one. Amor fati seeks to love whatever happens to you, no matter whether it's good or it's bad. You love it. Ooh, that thing is hot. You love what happens to you and you maximize it. Okay? And that's what the alchemist does. The alchemist knows what he wants, and he knows what he needs to do to get what he wants. And if he's not in the, or he or she is not in the ideal situation, he changes it, and he embraces the things. Even if he can't change them, he guides those bad things to make a positive out of it. And the outcome of the alchemist's life is one with eternal reoccurrence in mind, that this life turned out so good I'd want to do it over and over and over again. And to me, that is living affirmatively. I live according to the great possibilities that are out there, rather than be tormented by the possible barriers and blockades. You understand what I'm talking about? There are people who have great business ideas and they never go for it because it might fail. And then you have people who only see, they know, the alchemist understands that there are bad things that may happen, but he is prepared to deal with it when it occurs because he sees the prize at the end. So he knows that if I weather through this storm and I keep plugging away and I do what I gotta do to be prepared to get through that, I will get the reward that I want at the end. And that is the alchemist. So if you're not in a relationship that you want, you find ways to, and we'll have to do other videos, of course, like I said, to explain it better. You find ways to get the relationship that you want. This is not the ideal employment situation or business situation for you. You find a way to build the situation that I want to be in. I create it. I put myself in the position to seize the opportunities when they come up. And that is the alchemist lifestyle. So like I said, we'll come back and do more videos. I do want to do one on amor fati because it'll help explain it a little bit better. And then look for probably 2 or 3 more videos in this series. All right, you guys, have a good day. I have to keep these videos short because we don't have internet here. We had a storm back in September. So all I got is, oh shit, it's hot. Internet on this, and then I have to go into town to use their internet, and it takes about an hour to record to upload a 20-minute video. All right, you guys,